Do you think it's impossible to determine the size of a man's dignity without assumptions? You are mistaken. A single glance at your fingers can reveal more than you are ready to know. Scientists conducted a study confirming that finger length can reflect testosterone levels, suggesting hands can reveal hidden truths. In this video, you will learn whether size can be judged by fingers, why this theory sparks global debate, and how a simple hand gesture can alter a man's perception. Have you ever wondered that a mysterious code is hidden in the palms? We greet each other with gestures, gesturing without even realizing it. Fingers can tell more about a man than any questionnaire. This story sounds like a myth, but it is backed by scientific research. In South Korea, a group of scientists analyzed hundreds of men, carefully measuring their hands and correlating the data with topics usually not openly discussed. The results forced many to reconsider their usual stereotypes. It turned out that the difference in length between the index and ring fingers is not just a trivial anatomical feature. This is the imprint that stays with a person since they were just an embryo. At that moment, testosterone determined the shape of bones, muscles, character, and even what men often preferred to hide. Imagine all this information is captured in the palm, like a book that no one can read. And suddenly it turns out that the key to this book is right in front of us. But here's the question. If everything is so simple, why does this theory still provoke disputes and controversies? Can fingers really reveal the truth that we have learned to silence? Do you want to know what they can tell? Sometimes it seems that men themselves do not fully understand who they are. We seek answers in personality tests, read horoscopes, try to understand ourselves through others' advice, but there is something that holds the truth much more reliably: their fingers. Scientists refer to this ratio of fingers as the 2-to-4 index. It sounds dry and lifeless, but behind this term hides real drama. This insignificant difference between the index and ring finger indicates how much testosterone a man received before birth. And here the real magic begins. A man may consider himself hot-tempered, calm, or overly confident throughout his life, but in reality, all of this was predetermined even during his formation in his mother's womb. His fingers already knew what he would become. Isn't it both frightening and mesmerizing at the same time? Thus, a handshake can tell more about a person than their own words. But if everything is so obvious, a new question arises. Can a palm predict not only personal qualities, but also a man's behavior in relationships? How can one unnoticed mark on the hand destroy myths and confirm our assumptions? We inhabit a world of myths. Look at the shoes. You will immediately determine the size. A tall person always seems more self-assured. These stereotypes, passed down from generation to generation, are perceived as truth. But one barely noticeable parameter on the hand collapses all these notions. Scientists have called it the 2-T4D index. At first glance, it doesn't sound very interesting. However, this indicator has actually become a powerful tool in the fight against misconceptions, as numbers do not forgive mistakes. A tall stature does not guarantee confidence. Muscle mass built in the gym can be deceptive, while finger length, as it turns out, predicts much more accurately what many prefer to hide. They capture the trace of hormones that remain in the body forever. And this is where myths begin to fall. Men who have relied on external attributes, clothing, cars, image, suddenly realize that their true calling card has long been in their hands. But if the palm can truly confirm what others only suspect, a more important question arises. Can this indicator reveal too much and turn personal secrets into open books? Do you want to know how fingers sometimes betray a man, even when he tries to hide the truth? Can a long index finger mean something other than what you think? We tend to think primitively. A long finger means an advantage. But with the index finger, it's much more complicated. A long index finger can mean something entirely different than you assumed. Scientists have noticed that if the index finger is longer than the ring finger, it often indicates that the male fetus received less testosterone in the womb. This is where the most interesting part begins. Instead of aggressive strength, such a man often possesses a completely different set of qualities. He perceives people more sensitively, able to listen and catch nuances that others simply miss. It's not about aggression. It's about the ability to see deeper. The paradox is that what many would dismiss as a weakness actually becomes a superpower. Indeed, it is such men who often become excellent negotiators and leaders, capable of managing not through brute force, but with words and intellect. But it is worth pondering. If a finger can so strongly change our perception of a person, does it mean that fate is truly written in the palm? Or does everyone have a chance to rewrite their story? Do you want to know why sometimes fingers deceive us and even confuse scientists? How did Korean researchers prove the connection between fingers and male strength? It could have remained just an urban legend if one day in Seoul a group of scientists decided to test everything in practice. They were tired of myths and rumors, and they conducted extensive research. Hundreds of men, hundreds of dimensions, thousands of comparisons. They studied hands, measured finger lengths, recorded every digit, and compared it with parameters that men usually prefer to keep silent about. And the more data they collected, the clearer the pattern became. The nameless finger, which turns out to be longer than the index finger, repeatedly points to a connection with high testosterone levels. This, in turn, is associated with physical endurance, confidence, and the concept of masculine strength, which is only hinted at. And here the myth became a scientific fact. It was no longer just rumors or jokes among men, but real data and research so convincing that after their publication, it was discussed at the international level. However, a new question arises. If Korean scientists were able to establish a connection between finger length and male strength, does this mean that one can read the palm like an open book? Or is there a limit beyond which this theory ceases to apply? Do you want to find out what the mysterious ratio of 2D-4D hides and why it continues to intrigue researchers? At first glance, 2D-4D sounds like some mysterious cipher or code from a scientific study. In reality, it is much simpler and yet more enigmatic. It's just the difference in length between two fingers, the index and the ring finger. But this small detail has puzzled scientists around the world for decades. Why? Because this ratio reflects the hormone levels that shape the man even before his birth. The longer the ring finger compared to the index finger, the more testosterone was present in his blood during the formation of his body. And this is where the most interesting part begins. Scientists discovered that this indicator is related not only to anatomy, but also to character, aggressiveness, ambition level, risk propensity, and even career choice. Imagine that one can predict whether a man is more inclined towards science, sports, or leadership by examining his hand. It is not surprising that for researchers, 2D4D has become something of a goldmine. Some see it as the key to understanding male nature. Others consider it an undervalued diagnostic tool, but all agree on one thing. This indicator coincides too closely with reality to be mere coincidence. Nevertheless, the question remains, if fingers truly hold such a powerful code, could it one day become a tool to predict not only character, but also fate? Do you want to know how a single glance at the palm can radically change the perception of a man? Can a casual glance at a hand change your perception of a person forever? Imagine you are sitting in a cafe, casually noticing your companion's hand, and suddenly your perception of him changes. It's as if a small detail in his palm revealed something he would rather not mention. Can such a moment change the perception of a man forever? Studies confirm, yes, because fingers are not just anatomy, they reflect the hormonal background that formed even before birth. And a quick glance at the ratio of the index and ring fingers can hint at how much confidence, strength, and propensity for risk he has. But this is where the drama lies. Imagine a man who has always considered himself the weak link, and suddenly he discovers that his fingers tell a completely different story. A man, confident in his abilities, faces the unexpected secrets revealed by his palm. That's why such discoveries have the effect of a bomb going off. Sometimes a single glance at a hand is enough to turn a familiar image to dust. But then, a new question arises. If fingers can so remarkably influence perception, does this not suggest that our life and fate are already predetermined? Do you want to know why nature left this code specifically on our hands and not elsewhere? Why is the cipher, indicating testosterone levels, imprinted on the fingers? Have you ever wondered why fingers became the carriers of this secret information? Why not the eyes, the voice, or the gait? But the palm holds the imprint of masculinity. Scientists are sure that the answer lies in the essence of things. When a child begins to develop, hormones shape not only their brain and body, but also the smallest details, such as finger length. These proportions become a unique signature of nature that cannot be erased. And what is most surprising is that this code is universal. Wherever a man lives, regardless of his nationality, his palm always holds the mark of testosterone. It is like a universal language understood by the whole world, even if no one has studied it. One could say that fingers are a kind of passport issued by nature to everyone at birth. A passport with no words or stamps, only lines and proportions, capable of revealing hidden masculine energy more than any document, yet a mystery remains. If nature left this code exposed, does it mean it wanted us to decipher it? Or is it just a coincidence in which we found meaning ourselves? Do you want to know if one can predict what kind of person a man will be in relationships and personal life by looking at his hand? What will happen if you suddenly realize that your finger is your personal business card? And now, imagine the most unexpected discovery. You look at your hand and realize one finger is your own business card. Without words, without beautiful phrases, without masks, everything you tried to hide or, on the contrary, emphasize has long been written on your palm. It is both frightening and fascinating because it suddenly becomes clear. Nature has left a code on your hands that cannot be erased. It accompanies you throughout your life, revealing things you never even suspected. This is why this phenomenon excites scientists and attracts the attention of ordinary people. It's not just about the fingers. This is a conversation about your confidence, strength, character, and those qualities that shape your destiny. So yes, it can be confidently said that your finger is not just a part of your hand. It is a mark, a sign, a key to understanding yourself. And the question is whether you are ready to look into this truth. Sometimes a single glance at a palm can change not only how others perceive you, but also how you see yourself. Can a man's confidence in intimate life be determined by looking at his palm? This question sounds quite provocative. At first glance, it seems absurd. However, research in this area reveals interesting facts. Scientists have found that men with a longer ring finger compared to their index finger have higher testosterone levels, indicating a greater tendency towards bravery, initiative, and risk. These qualities, in turn, directly influence their behavior in the intimate sphere. Imagine a situation where a person has been trying for many years to hide their complexes, or, on the contrary, create an illusion of strength, but their palm reveals their true self. She carries the traces of a hormonal code that formed even before his birth. Of course, it's not 100% prediction or magic, but the coincidences are so frequent that they are hard to ignore. Every time you look at a man's hand, the thought arises, what if this palm hides the answer to the question usually asked in whispers? But then another, more important question emerges. If a palm can truly tell about his confidence in intimate life, does it mean it can serve as a readable map of a man's fate? Do you want to know how one finger can become a true business card?